Greetings and salutations, pipe pals and gals. Holy Spoken by Padre. I'm back at you with another video on a beautiful summer evening. And it's a little bit after 7:30. Sun has gone down over the yard arm. That's not bad. Okay, so smoking that crazy old Ben Wade that I've had probably going on 35 years. And in it, I'm smoking some Dunhill Cherry. Now, I just found these the other day. I don't know where they came from. I'm assuming, excuse me, that this might be an anniversary gift. From my dear friend. And so maybe she's the one that gave this to me. I don't remember. Or maybe it's one of you all out there. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. But Dunhill Cherry, not too bad. Not too bad. Again, I gotta be honest, like I said, they were sitting right up there somewhere. And I don't know where they, I mean, obviously they're a gift from somebody, because I didn't buy these. Not bad. I like it. Okay. And then over here, I am drinking a little 50-50. Black coffee and heavy cream. And I'm chasing it with just a little bit of premium club soda. Little palate cleanser there. Not bad. Okay. Delicious. Okay. Okay, well, I'm back. I haven't checked the comments on my last video about a week ago, huh? And that is really good. So I just wanted to get on here. There's a couple of things that I kind of want to talk about. Let's see here. So we are kind of in the middle of our annual wildfire season, and so we've had, a couple of close calls the last couple of weeks. It's sad to say. Fortunately, they didn't do a lot of damage. They could have. I think yesterday, the day before, see, today is Tuesday, I think Sunday afternoon. Yes, there was another arsonist started a fire up in Truckee. And thanks be to God, the wind was blowing towards the wilderness, and it didn't, he started it right behind the hospital. So I shouldn't say that was fortunate, because actually there's a lot of homes, homes up in the wilderness, the woods, the forest. And so anyway, and then there was another fire out near where, I of course, being a classical music buff, I say Verdi, as in Giuseppe Verdi, the great operatic composer. But people in Nevada, they say Verdi, or Verdi. That's Verdi, yeah. So I say Verdi, and they say Verdi. You can always tell a native person, and because Verdi is right over, we're at state line here. So right here on the lake, you go up about 13 miles towards Incline, then you pass over from California to Nevada. So yeah, so it's more of a state line thing than it is. And then once you go down Interstate 80 into Nevada, then you pass through Verdi. Okay. That's not bad. It is reminiscent of Silem's Red, which I love. I was thinking about actually doing an order here, Now, I might be, Pipe House, I might be splurging. I haven't done this in years. I think the last pipe I bought was about 5 years ago. Yeah, about 5 years ago, right around now. There was a tinderbox in Reno. And they had a Dunhill, brand new Dunhill. Now, it was a newer Dunhill, so some of the newer Dunhills weren't, I hate to say that, it wasn't a bad pipe, but you can always tell an older Dunhill as opposed to a newer one. And I think the guy was selling it for like $270 or $240. And basically a brand new Dunhill, you can't get anything less than $500, $600 brand new. And I remember, now I'm going to be honest, Pipe Pals, I don't try to cheat people. I don't try to steal. Don't try to, fraudulently take things from people. But it was a younger guy. And you could tell that he probably has a little bit of a history with the Department of Corrections. I'm just guessing he had a little bit of an edge to him. He was kind of like, talking real fast and and I said, "Are you sure that's the price?" And he got a little defensive going, "Mister, all I do is I put the prices on them they tell me to." Like, okay. Again, I was trying to maybe not say he's cheating me. I might be cheating him buying this pipe, brand new. So he goes, you want to look at the pipe or not, kind of thing. I said, yeah, I'd like to look at it. So I'm looking at it, and it's clearly a Dunhill, and I'm going, $240 for a brand new Dunhill? Okay. I just, like I said, I'm wondering if that price is right, and he thought I was trying to say, you're trying to cheat me here, and, he was like, hey, look, I just do what they tell me. That's the price they told me to put on the pipe. That's the price. You want to buy it or not? I went, yeah, no, I'll buy it. Yeah, I guess yeah, all right. Well, maybe. Let me think about it. Okay, yes. So, and the pipes in the other box there, I didn't pull it. I'm using my Ben Wade tonight. I was thinking about doing Autumn Breeze tonight because I have to tell you, we are in that change of seasons where you can definitely feel it. Summer is ebbing away rather quickly. The mornings are nice and crisp and cool. It's right now 62 degrees. 2 weeks ago it was like 82 degrees, and that's about, maybe it gets up to 82, 85, and it'll be muggy in the evenings, and then, it'll cool down a little bit, and then warms up again, because it's summer. But we're just about at the midway point. We're at late summer, 3 more days, it's late summer, and it's gone. It's pretty much, it rapidly goes. Once it hits after August 15th, you're starting to count the days until the first snowfall, which is just around the corner. We'll get a first dusting around October, mid-October, late October. Yeah, well, it's okay. We did so much work, accomplished so much the last 4 months. I have no room, and nor am I even thinking about complaining. Life has been really awesome. Just been super, super great. Wow, that's good. So it's either JB that gave me this or KM that gave me this. So either you guys, or maybe it was somebody else, I can't remember. If you know that you were the bearer of this wonderful gift, I just want to say thank you. So it is really good. I'm enjoying this. Little 50-50. So, okay. It's no secret that yours truly is a dyed-in-the-wool conservative. And last night, apparently the internet was broken in more ways than one, with the Elon Musk, President Donald Trump. I don't know what you call it, streaming video. I don't know what that. I'm not a big X person, or formerly Twitter. So I just there's a lot of social media that just it's like this. It's over my head. It's like, well, I know that a lot of young people are into TikTok, and they were into Twitter until it became X. And then there's also Instagram, and then there's other ones too. There's probably other, satellite ones that, maybe the select people use as maybe kind of specialized group chats and things like that. Discord, I think is one of them. It is good. So I've dabbled in some of these things, and a lot of it to me just seems like and maybe it's designed to be a little more overly complicated so certain people can get in and other people can't. I don't know. Maybe I'm just doing, old man stuff, and I can't keep up with everything. So, but anyway, apparently Elon Musk and Donald Trump had a little conversation, shall we say, a little fireside chat, as I would probably say, being the old fuddy-duddy that I am, the old boomer, right? That's becoming a derogatory term, or at least a pejorative term with some people. You're just a boomer, okay, I guess, But anyway, this whole thing, and I'm sure that the acrimony is just growing by leaps and bounds by almost every hour, every minute. There's some new some new thing to be outraged over, or upset about, or offended by. Get a little cleanser here. That's nice too. So, but I apparently in my professional life, my sacramental life. Every now and then I write my pastor's corner. I don't write them. I have a little homily service that sometimes I use. It fits the bill perfectly, and and it's time saver for me. And I don't have to worry about proofreading or even reading for content. I know it's all sound, good stuff, and people will learn something positive and good. And so for the most part, I'll throw one of those together and call it a day. But when there's something I think probably needs to be discussed, something that you look a little conspicuous when you don't talk about it, and one of those was President Trump being assassinated a few weeks ago. I'm sorry, the attempted assassination, okay? And so I wrote about it. I said that essentially, the divide in our country is getting deeper by the day, and this attempt on his life proves that. But then, and I talked about when I was a little boy, and I remember growing up in the 60s, President Kennedy being assassinated, Martin Luther King being assassinated, Robert Kennedy being assassinated, okay? And I remember that those, for me as a kid, those were upsetting. Those were shocking. They were in some ways very traumatic, okay? Now, granted, some people say, well, you weren't there and you didn't know these people, and how can it be traumatic? Okay, look, it was like, I don't know if I do remember watching the space shuttle, was it, Challenger, live, and it blowing up. And that was traumatic. Now, yeah, I wasn't there, quote unquote, but we were watching it live on TV. So essentially we were watching the exact same living thing, real people literally losing their lives on that fateful day. Or Chernobyl. That's another one, Chernobyl. The fear and the terror that, oh my gosh, because they were saying this was this absolutely horrendous, catastrophe. And it was. And we still suffer the aftermath of that, 40 years later. Anyway, So again, I wrote about it and I said, hey, I felt traumatized. Now, I didn't see the live that, I saw it maybe half an hour later on video feed, but I got the same traumatic gut punch, psychological gut punch when my friend said, hey, Trump's been shot. Now, you're going, well, that's only because you like the man, that's only because you're voting for him, Well, I mean, even if Biden had been shot, I'd be going, what in the world's going on here? I mean, you don't go around, well, we have had it happen, so you can't say it doesn't happen, it does. But it's still, this is, like him or not, or vote for him or not, it's still the president of the United States. And again, the office deserves some modicum of respect. And again, I don't hate Mr. Biden. I feel sorry for him. And I feel that we've been manipulated. We were manipulated 4 years ago. We knew that he had dementia. And yet a lot of people wanted to deny that, say, no, it's not real. He's fine, he's great, he's sharper than he's ever been, blah, 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 blah. We all knew that the guy was kind of barely there. Plus the Creepy Joe videos of him sniffing the little girl's hair. I thought, there ain't no way this guy's going to be president. But, So anyway, but getting back to President Trump and the assassination. So I wrote up a couple paragraphs and I just said that, yeah, the acrimony is very, very strong. And I said, I have to say that people that are associated with, the abortion, issue, the same-sex issues, the entitlement people, these people, I think, are the ones to blame. And so somebody got very angry and wrote a very strong letter saying that they felt that what I said was wrong and they were, pull out of the parish and go somewhere else. And they said, but how dare you, blame those types of people? But it was those types of people, and I'm going to prove it right now, who were the ones who were calling for his demise. Remember this crazy lady here? Yeah. I think her name is Kathy Gifford. And, she started it all off with, having a severed, bloody Trump head. I'm sure she wasn't wishing him well by doing that. There was another video, I guess a music video, Snoop Dogg, I guess, and he was shooting a Trump, although it was a kind of a clownish Trump figure, but it was clearly a mockery of Trump, but it was a Trump figure, right, being shot, literally being shot. There was a play about, I guess, a modern adaptation of Julius Caesar, and so I think it was taking place in Central Park or somewhere in New York. I love New York. I love my New Yorkers. I've had the pleasure of knowing an awful lot of New Yorkers in my life, and I kind of consider myself an honorary New Yorker. Hey, bada bing, bada boom. But anyway, this was a play, and then at the end of the play, the climax, of course, Julius Caesar gets killed, he gets stabbed, and so this character that's playing Julius Caesar was again another figurine of Trump, a figure of Trump, a Trump figure. You got Madonna saying, things like,
yes, I am outraged. Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
And then you have, I guess, what was his name, Johnny Depp saying,
when was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
So you got these people calling for Trump's death. And they're all clearly people on the left, people that are, again, for abortion and, the same-sex stuff and, all the entitlement stuff. And so, again, sorry, but I got to lay the blame where it is, And so, unfortunately, those are the people that were calling for the demise, the death, the assassination, the killing of Donald Trump. So anyway, it's not, again, it's funny because people will deny, well, no, that's not true. Well, it is true. And I think that the whole the whole X talk with Elon Musk and Donald Trump last night, it's very interesting because before it even aired, the EU was threatening Elon Musk with sanctions and even, I guess, even arrest. How dare you, have that man talk about, it's like, what, And I guess the thing what they're afraid of is they think, well, as long as Trump just talks to his base, Kamala is definitely, going to make it, no problem, because all the Gen Z people and all the hip people and all the slick, hip, and cool people are all, on these kinds of platforms. And as long as they don't have to listen to Donald Trump, they won't know what he really stands for or who he is, and they won't vote for him, Now there's a little dark secret that I got to tell these people, and they won't want to hear this, but unfortunately, because of abortion, 50% of Gen Zers have been aborted. So yeah, it's the up and coming generation, but it's drastically reduced, just saying. So you don't have the numbers. Now, if you go find the dead people that you can, ballot stuff with their names, you might have a chance. Or if you can manipulate the Dominion machines, kind of like they did last time, maybe, you might have a chance. I don't know. But it was interesting because apparently, now again, people say, that's a bunch of crap, he wasn't talking to a billion people, but apparently a billion people. Now, whether they were there listening to the event live, live viewers or live people that were in intent listening or watching. And again, they tried to, there was some little cyber attack, and Elon wasn't going to let that happen. I mean, he's going to find a way to work around, and he did. He wasn't going to let these people thwart him, even though it started like 40 minutes late, he still went on with it, even though despite the cyber attack, and, that was fine. But it's amazing that apparently now, even if it was only half of that, you still had 500 million people listening to Donald Trump and Elon Musk just discuss things, discuss the issues of the day. That's all it was. Now, Trump was Trump. There's no doubt about it. Elon was Elon, and it was just two guys having a conversation. What's wrong with that? Okay. Now they're already saying, oh, but they're using fake media and false information, and that's what they're claiming. Now there was a video that came out, I think, about 2-3 weeks ago, and clearly everyone knows that it was a Kamala Harris parody. Okay, it was supposedly her campaign video, and it was just a bunch of and some of it was her voice recreated through AI to make her sound like she's saying certain things that she actually didn't say, but people knew that it was tongue-in-cheek. It was a parody. We all know that, but it does point to the truth of what this person claimed that they believe in. Okay, and basically they're all about socialism and communism. Okay. Equity, right? That's their whole thing, equity, And unfortunately, because of I think the three issues that unfortunately are but I wouldn't say they're insurmountable, but they are the big ones. Are the legalized murder of children. Sad to say, the people that have taken marriage and turned it into something that it's clearly not. Sorry. And the entitlement types. And I mean, the entitlement types, I think, are the biggest part because, there are a lot of people now that depend upon the government, not just for a helping hand, but for their livelihood. They're picking up their welfare check, they're picking up their food stamps. There was a black lady who went off a couple of weeks ago, and she found somebody's receipt and found out that this person was an EBT food stamp recipient, and apparently this person had $14,000 worth of food stamps. And she says, I'm not sure, but I think that's $14,000 every month this person gets this entitlement. So there are way too many entitlement types, especially with the illegals. And unfortunately, and again, they will find some way to get them to illegally vote to try to throw off the election. So unfortunately, those are some big hurdles that people are we're going to have to overcome to make sure that we do have this time a fair election. So, but apparently though, the mainstream media is just literally just up in arms about poor Trump and Elon having a conversation on X. I saw, again, I don't usually go on. I do have an old Twitter account, and I got it converted now to the X account. I don't actually use it. Maybe I might start posting my homily videos there. I don't know if that would even be. I look at X as kind of like a glorified Facebook, which I just did not like at all. I had it for a number of years. I didn't really use it that much. I just kind of kept it as an avenue for people from my past, whether family or friends or former parishioners, as a way to say, well, okay, his father on, Facebook, maybe I can find him and send him a message if they needed to get a hold of me, that type of thing. And I did post a few things there, and then shortly after that, about 3-4 years ago, it was during Lent. I just said, I'm going to delete the account. I'm not just going to close it and not use it for a while or a season or a year or whatever. I'm just going to delete the whole thing and get rid of it. So anyway, I was on X last night trying to find the video feed for President Trump and Elon, and of course it was being cyber attacked at the time, and people weren't able to hear anything or see anything, whatever. And I saw some people commenting, and there was maybe here's an example, but one guy, saying, "Oh, Trump's he's just an empty suit and a diaper full of crap." And of course he said the S word, and some other people responded like, "Hey, why are you saying that stuff? It's like you say all these vitriolic things, it's all emotion and anger and outrage, but there's no substance. There's just no substance, You say he's this horrible man. Tell me why. Show me what he did wrong. Well, he's been convicted of 34 or 32 crimes. That was all, no pun intended, it was all trumped up charges. How do you make a misdemeanor into a felony? Well, because you get a corrupt judge. That's how you do that. And so they have tried every which way. They've tried to impeach the man twice, maybe 3 times. I think the third time I guess they were going to, and then they say he's guilty of insurrection. He's never been charged with that. He's never been, indicted for that. He's never been convicted of that. If you listen to the video that I did, he never called for an insurrection. January 6th was January 6th, and, those people, that's the people's house. They have a right to go there. And so, again, if you look at most of them, I think I've said it before, they were just like people on like a little, the bus dropped them off, and they're like, "Oh, look at this. This is the state capitol. Here's the rotunda. Oh, look at that statue over there." They weren't like an armed mob, screaming out. There were some that did do violence and vandalism. Okay, and the people that died, unfortunately, one of them was one of the people that were trying to protest. Got Ashley Babbitt, I think is her name was. She got shot by a capital city police officer. He just took aim and blew her away. And I don't think he was ever brought up on charges of that. The woman was just standing there minding her business, and boom, she's dead. And the other police officer, well, what about the police officers that were killed? Well, one of them went home and had a heart attack, or had a heart attack there, but it wasn't because somebody shot him or strung him up or stabbed him. But again, false narratives, okay? And the other thing that I think is just so disingenuous is that that people don't want to let President Trump speak. It's like, we don't want to hear you speak. We don't like you. That's not a free society. We still barely have the freedom of First Amendment, but for some reason it doesn't apply to him. He came back to X last night, kind of in a big way, because he was banned. We can't have him spreading misinformation. Well, no. Look, again, a lot of people say, well, it's all going to be, if Trump wins, it'll all be for misinformation. It's all AI. No, come on, people. People are, give people credit for being at least mostly reasonable, rational, intelligent people. Okay, they can figure these things out for themselves. And if you're going to vote for Kamala, then vote for Kamala, okay? You know, in fact, Elon told her, I don't know if I think the deal is still good. If she wants to go on X and talk to him, he said, I'd be happy to. Oh, no. Now it's been tainted with Trumpism. Oh my gosh, you know, they get cooties. You know, if I go over there to X now, I might get some disease, you know, some MAGA disease, right? You know, I don't mind people having reasonable objections, objective, you know, criticisms, but most of it is just people don't like the man, you know? And okay, that's fine, you know? I mean, I don't, you know, now there's some people that are really kind of, you know, making Donald Trump seem like he's the second coming or kind of equivalent to that. And I mean, I'm grateful the man wasn't shot and killed. I mean, that would have been absolutely horrendous. I mean, that would have been one of the most grotesque things. Had he turned his head at the wrong time, at the wrong angle, that would have been one of the most graphic, grotesque. It would have made the Kennedy assassination look like a picnic. I'm sorry to say it like that, but that's true. That would have been hideous. That would have been the most gruesome thing. I mean, they really would have to censor that. That would be just so, you couldn't show that. That would just be so horrific. Whew. Man, how scary that is. And even if it was Biden getting shot at, I wouldn't want to see him get shot. You know? Even heels up Harris. You know, I'm not a big fan, obviously. I was watching, I was kind of got this one new guy I've been watching lately. His name is Lamont at Large. He's an interesting fellow. And he does a lot of these historical crime scene investigations. And they're quite fascinating. The guy is really, you know, for a guy who sounds like he's like, you know, operating on a shoestring, he does a darn good job. He does a lot of research, obviously, and he puts the stories together, and they're very, very intriguing and entertaining, and you know, and very informative. And it's like, wow, you know, that's kind of most of them are pretty grisly. You know, there are all these crimes that people did, and they're just, ugh. And then sometimes they're just more of like historical things that happened in history that maybe they weren't right crimes per se, but maybe they were some horrendous natural disaster or something. Anyway, but he's just very interesting. So I was watching his latest video. He was getting an egg McMuffin, I guess, you know, and I guess he was not in a good mood. He's very serious. Although I got to say that he has a very interesting way of dealing with conflict resolution. He's a scary looking guy. I mean, I don't know if he's done time or whatever. But he just looks like somebody you really wouldn't want to mess with. And it's interesting because there's been people that will like say, hey, you can't film here. You can't video here. You can't use it. You can't bring a camera here. And, you know, sometimes people want to say, well, excuse me, no, I'm on public property. I have a right to record here if I want to. And for the most part, he doesn't get into altercations with people. He goes, okay, thanks for letting me know. And he just walks away. He doesn't try to get in people's face. He doesn't try to stand his ground kind of thing. Some other people were, you know, the other day, and he kind of said, they were, you know, kind of challenging. He was standing on the roadside. He was filming a house where a horrible murder happened. And these people were running a daycare, and they thought he was, you know, like a pedo, you know. And he would understand. He says, hey, I'm sorry, maybe I didn't know this was a daycare. I should have maybe asked and let you know that I was going to do this, and I know. But he doesn't get into people's faces. He doesn't get confrontational to the point where he escalates things, you know. And that's a nice lesson to learn, because there are going to be people that don't like something that you're doing maybe publicly, and they might say, hey, knock it off. Don't be putting that camera in my face or something. But I'm not. I'm just, and they might say, no, yes, you are. I saw you, you know. And they, you know, a lot of people like, I wasn't going to say this, but I'll just a little aside. But, you know, I've had problems. Some of you know I've had issues with people parking in our parking lot that shouldn't be parking here. And so, you know, I've had a couple people, especially on 4th of July. And I just politely said, I have my little sign, you know, it just says, please do not park here, not public parking. And this guy gets out and he goes, well, we're just trying to feed our dog with some water. You got a problem with that? I just hold up the sign, just said, hey, look, that's all I'm trying to tell you. And he goes, well, you know, feeding an animal is a godly thing. And I went, and just said, go ahead. And the guy goes, he starts getting really angry. Go ahead, call the cops. Gets in my face. And I'm like, I'm just like, hey, sir. I don't say anything. I just kind of, I'm not like, running away, but I'm just, like hold the sign up and just say, this is what I'm trying to communicate to you. But I try not to escalate it, especially when they come off already angry because they're mad, it's like, and the secret is, people, we had a wedding next door. And apparently somebody sent me a little nasty text saying, you're a dick, because I was walking around making sure people didn't park from their wedding ceremony, because we couldn't afford that. We have church in a couple hours, and these people were going to this wedding, and they were there for all day long, and they didn't start leaving till about maybe 4:30, 5 o'clock, and that's when we have our services around, the church opens at 4 for confessions at 4:30, and then 5 o'clock mass, and the people wouldn't have been able to park if I had allowed these wedding people to park there. So about 2 weeks ago, our project manager, found some old do not park signs. And instead of putting them where I normally would put them, where it'd be too late, they'd already pulled in, and they would just say, well, I'm going to ignore that sign. So he put them at the entryways. And for some reason, that I guess it just alerts people that, hey, you really shouldn't park here. And it's not like an afterthought. It's like they know now in the beginning, as they're coming in, like, oh, wait a minute, we can't park here. Okay. And most people are respectful, I will say, and they will find some other alternative, another place to park, and that's great. But there was a wedding right next door, and apparently they had gotten the message, because we put these signs up about two weeks ago, and they probably were thinking about using our parking lot without asking. It would have been a horrendous thing. Because then I would really be going, hey, I got to find who's responsible, and they got to move these cars, because I got to have it for my church services, right? It's not for vacationers, it's not for wedding guests, it's for parishioners, period. And I would have had to have gotten a little more assertive, and if it got to the point, I got some of the CHP guys here that are my friends, and I just give them a call and say, I'm sorry, I hate to ask you to do this, but I need some law enforcement backup here to get these people out of here. So now, had they called and asked and said, hey, can we, in fact, I did. To my credit, we have our next door church people, and they have a very limited parking. And so they had a special Eagle Scout ceremony Sunday afternoon. It was after we were all done. And he said, hey, can we use it from 1 to 4? I should have asked you earlier. And I have a fairly good relationship with the guy. And I said, yeah, that's not going to be a problem. Go ahead and use the parking lot. So it's not like I'm an old curmudgeon. I say no to everybody. I just say no. If you're going to be parking when we need our parking lot, I'm sorry. No. But most people don't even have the courtesy of asking, And if they, we've had a couple of people say, can we have a wedding? Can we park there? And there was, or maybe a birthday party. And I'll say, well, if it's like during the weekday and I don't have a funeral or a, baptism or something, nothing scheduled, then, it should be fine. As long as you ask and we can accommodate you, great. But don't just park there without asking and then expect somebody to say, oh, gee, it's okay, you park there, and my parishioners now can't park there in their own parking lot, so they can't go to church now. That's ridiculous. How would you feel if me and some of my friends decided to take up your driveway? Well, I thought we could park here. Who told you could park here? Nobody. Well, this is private property, most people would reasonably say, no, don't do that. That's rude, Anyway, so I digress. So anyway, getting back to Elon and President Trump, so apparently, they don't want people to hear his side of the story. It's like, well, this is the narrative. This is funny. It's almost like, it sounds very immature. It's like, well, this is the narrative, and if you deviate from it, then we're not going to listen to you. It's like that. Blah 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 blah. It's like, that's real mature. All right, so you disagree with the man, okay? But he has every right to voice his opinions. You don't like his opinions, don't have to listen to it. But apparently, there's been a lot of acrimony. And so, people just, and all they do is they spout all this anger. It's not based in any reality. Yeah. So if you want to accuse him of something that, he truly did wrong, and you can prove that, okay, all right. That might be beneficial. People can say, well, I didn't know he actually did that, or, whatever. But no, it's all, they don't like him. We hate him. He's a racist. He's a feminist. He's a misogynist. He's this, he's that. It's all the ists, that they throw at you, but there's no substance. Is this going to work or not? Uh-oh. All right, I need to probably get... and so they'll say, oh, he's a liar, and he's this, and he's that, and, Russia. And the reality was that we've already had 4 years of Donald Trump. I can personally tell you that gas prices were almost half what they are now. I live in California, so while the rest of the world was probably paying $2.85, we were probably paying $4.85, or at least $3.85 or something like that. Probably more like $4.60, I think. But instead of almost $6, $2 more, $3 more. I mean, food prices, my gosh, almost tripled. So, and the question that I think people need to answer, you say, oh, well, they're lying and they're, misinformation. Let me ask some of you who are not obviously on the same political wavelength that I am, who's running this country? Really, who's running the country? I mean, I know who the president is in name, but who's really running the country? So, I know a lot of people are concerned, and why are we having millions upon millions of people come here illegally, and then the government turns around and gives them substantial welfare benefits when we have people that really are citizens who should be getting those benefits. Oh, and the other thing is that hopefully, most people realize that, living off the government dole is no way to live. I mean, when I was a little kid, my mom was a single mom and we were on welfare, okay? And I remember it was a very shameful thing. I was very embarrassed about that. My mom did not have an education. She did the best she could, and the jobs that were maybe plentiful during the 40s and 50s, those kind of jobs were moving into another realm of, like retail type stuff. And, we were starting to see the advent of some computerization kind of stuff and more specialized skill sets that she just didn't have. She wasn't stupid, but she just didn't have the training or the education that would have qualified her to, probably get a job. Now, later in life, she kind of, I don't know what happened, but she kind of had a little bit of a life change, and kind of realized that living on the welfare just wasn't the best. And so even though the job that she finally got was probably comparable, pay-wise to, sitting at home and getting the welfare check, I think she got her self-respect back and said, well, even though I got to walk to this job and I've got to do 8 hours a day and really, work my butt off, I think I have more self-respect at the end of the day than just waiting for the government check to show up in the mailbox, So God bless her. And she lost weight doing that. Not that she was ever really obese, but she was a very short woman, and so any extra weight did kind of tend to, settle on her a little bit easy. That's where I probably get it from, I'm just naturally carbohydrate insensitive, and But she started walking every day and started working every day, and she took pride in her job. Kind of think of it now, there were a couple of times that some freeloaders would try to come in and take advantage, and she'd chase them out. Like, get out of here! Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Oh, boy. But anyway, so I don't know why people are so... Well, I do know why, because President Trump had an opportunity, and a great opportunity, and took advantage of it to speak to younger listeners, because mostly, I think X and, of course, certainly TikTok and those other platforms are mostly occupied and inhabited by younger folks. And they think, well, as long as we got the young vote, that's another, we got the illegals that'll probably be voting illegally, because, but we have definitely got the younger vote, and as long as they don't have to listen to Trump, and he can't, quote unquote, poison their minds, then we'll have the Gen Zers types, those types, millennials, Gen Zers, whatever, Gen Xers, whatever. And so that's what they were afraid of. They were afraid that, hey, wait a minute, Trump's got a different message. We only want them to speak the one narrative. That's, this is the narrative. The EU was saying this is our narrative, and if you deviate from it, we're coming after you, type thing. And that's what they're afraid of. That's not misinformation. That's like, no, you can't dictate, you cannot deviate from our narrative. That we have made the new global narrative, and you have to say what's that narrative. You can't deviate from that. You can't have a different opinion. That's what they're afraid of. And thanks be to God for the First Amendment. Thanks be to God for Elon Musk. And again, these are two guys, they're not in it for the money. I think they have lots and lots and lots of money. So they're not in it for the money. But I really think those three issues that I mentioned in the beginning are the ones that people are, afraid that they're going to lose those issues, or at least have them curtailed. Certainly the abortion thing, and the illegal immigration thing, and I guess four, hey, what people do in their privacy of their homes, say, but don't force that on the rest of the people, and don't force little kids to have life-destroying surgeries. Let them make that decision when they turn 18. They want to do that. I personally believe that the same sex, or the gender, quote unquote, affirming surgeries in another 30 years will probably be looked upon as we look at lobotomies today. Because all they do is they just destroy a person. They don't change a person, There's nothing magical about it. It's just mutilation, okay? And they don't want you to be able to say that, because that's the narrative now. That's the quote unquote established narrative. Who established it? I don't know. But that's the established narrative, and you can't deviate from it. You can't say anything against it now. You can't criticize it. You can't bring up alternative opinions about it. Oh no. So that's what they were afraid of, I guess, And so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. All I'm asking for this November 5th, remember the 5th of November, the gunpowder treason and plot. I know of no reason why the gunpowder treason should ever be forgotten, or the election of November 5th ever be forgotten, or fooled and meddled with either, or rigged, or fixed. Let's have a fair election, and then if this country decides it wants to turn communist and socialist, then all I'll say is, God help us, But at least it was a fair election, and it wasn't rigged, okay? And I hope that you would wish the same, too, if you're on the other side of the issue, Again, let's have a real, fair election. Let's not, tilt it one side or the other. Let's just, again, I don't know why Kamala is not really entertaining and answering questions from the media. Again, that's her thing. This Tim Walz guy was a disaster for Minnesota. I mean, what do you have to say when his wife, talking about weird, she said that she left the windows open when they were rioting and burning in the Twin Cities because she could smell the burning tires, and she said it smelled like change or something weird like that, and she wanted that odor to be in her house. What? You know, it'd be like somebody saying, I wanted to, keep my windows open, at Jonestown so I could smell the odor of change. It smelled like change to me, I mean, that sounds pretty gross and disgusting to say that, but it's on the same level as that, because those cities were burning down. And that person thought that was a good thing? No, it wasn't. And a lot of black people were losing their businesses. It wasn't just white people. It's people of all races and colors and ethnicities. See, that's what I'll say. I'll close with this. People on the progressives, the communists, the socialists, all they know is to destroy things. You look at the Russian Revolution, you look at the French Revolution, all it was destruction, mayhem, and death. And they call that revolution. If that's the kind of revolution you have in mind, then I don't want any part of it. Okay, well, old holy smoking pipe padre here. I don't know if I even have enough to light my pipe here. So I'm going to say thanks for watching tonight, and hope you have a great week. I do. And until then, we will say light up your world, light up your pipe, and have a great evening. Whenever you're watching this, okay? Take care.